Hello everyone, I'm Michaela Kathleen, and in this video, I'm going to be playing a game of Reread, Rewrite, Burn. So this is kind of a bookish fuck, marry, kill, which if you're not familiar, is a game in which you pick three either like fictional characters or celebrities, and you pick one to marry, one to be intimate with in some way, and one to kill. But in this case, I'm going to be drawing random books and picking one to reread. So the idea is that I love this one and don't want to change anything. One to rewrite, so this is one that I like, but maybe there are some changes I would make, and one to burn. Of course, I don't advocate the burning of any books at all. It's just for the game. And also, obviously, these are randomly selected books, so in some cases, I'm maybe really gonna want to just reread all of them, but I must assign one to each book, regardless of how much I love it. But anyways, jumping right in with the randomly selected books. The first book we have is I Love You, Beth Cooper. This one was written by Larry Doyle, who I think actually mostly does screenplays, so it was made into a movie, and I do like the movie much better than the book. I'm gonna be doing 10 sets of these, just forgot to mention that at the beginning. So number 2 on the first set is Inkheart by Cornelia Funk. This one is a childhood favorite. And finally, for the first set of books, we have The Grace Year. This one is by Kim Liggett, and I just read this one for the first time this year. It was a pretty interesting kind of dystopian feminist read. So I must pick one to reread, one to rewrite, and one to burn. I think I'm gonna burn Beth Cooper because I'll still have the movie to watch. And now between these, I have to pick one to reread and one to rewrite. I think I'm gonna rewrite The Grace Year. I did enjoy it quite a bit, but I do think that some of the pacing of it could be fixed, although this one also kind of has pacing issues at times. But yeah, this one's just a childhood favorite, so I'm just gonna reread it and love it. Let me know down in the comments which ones you would categorize all of these into. But moving on to the second grouping, we have The One Memory of Flora Banks. This one is by Emily Barr, and I actually just reread this one like a month or two ago. Number 2, we have Princess Academy, and this one is by Shannon Hale and is another childhood favorite. And then finally we have Alex and Eliza, and I unhauled this one, so just gonna get it right out there. Gonna burn this one. It was just not super well written, in my opinion. And then between these two, the choice is easy. I am rereading Princess Academy and rewriting The One Memory of Flora Banks. I enjoy this one well enough. It's got a really interesting narrator, but I don't love the ending, so I would completely rewrite that. All right, on to the third grouping. We have The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. Obviously a classic, a favorite from my teenage years, an excellent reread, but we'll see who it stacks up against. Right, we have 13 Reasons Why by Jay Asher. I just read this one for the first time after having seen the series back when it came out. I also rewatched the first 3 seasons. It's a story that has its problems. And then finally for this group we have The Fault in Our Stars by John Green. This is my 3rd favorite book of all time. This is gonna be tough. Obviously, I'm burning 13 Reasons Why, but these two are hard. I like The Fault in Our Stars better, like it's my 3rd favorite book of all time, but The Hunger Games is just so perfect. Although we are talking about the entire series here, and while I like the 3rd book a lot more than some people do, it is definitely not the best book in the series. So maybe I'm gonna cop out and say I'm rereading The Fault in Our Stars and rewriting the 3rd Hunger Games. It's my game and I get to do that. All right, number 4 here, we have The First Girl Child. This one is by Amy Harmon. I read it for the first time maybe like 3 years ago, and it was my favorite of the year for like new reads that year. Next we have If I Stay. I like this one quite a bit. This one is by Gail Forman, and there is a movie based off of this one that I also enjoy. It's one that I like. And then finally for this grouping, we have Crazy Rich Asians, which I unhauled because I really disliked it. I had seen the movie first and I thought it was like okay, but kind of boring. And so I thought the book might be better. No, the book was so much worse. So I'm gonna burn that one. And then yeah, I'm gonna reread The First Girl Child and rewrite If I Stay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with If I Stay. I just like The First Girl Child better. If I really could make an off-the-wall, out of the game, the bounds of the game choice here, I would give this one a movie, since we already have a movie of this one, which would be kind of like rewriting this one. So I'm gonna change it. I'll reread this one and rewrite this one, but in like a script form so I can have a movie of it. Halfway through, on to the 5th set of books, we have The Library of the Unwritten. I still own this one, but it's like at the bottom of my TBR cart, so I'm not gonna get it out. I liked this one well enough. I'm gonna continue with the series, but I've got slightly lukewarm feelings about it. And next we have Mosquitoland. This one I unhauled long ago. It was a huge disappointment. And finally, Paper Towns by John Green. So I'm gonna burn Mosquitoland. The story behind this one is that I read Kids of Appetite by David Arnold, which I had gotten the book as like a prize situation, and totally took me by surprise. One of my favorite books of all time, so I immediately went out and got the first book he had ever written, which was Mosquitoland, and it was just a huge disappointment. So if you're gonna try David Arnold, I recommend Kids of Appetite. So burning Mosquitoland, which leaves Library of the Unwritten, which, as I said, I liked well enough. It's about like a library of unwritten books that are in hell because they didn't end up getting written, which was a really cool concept. I feel like there could have been more done with it though. So I'm gonna rewrite that one, and then I'll reread Paper Towns, which is not my favorite John Green, but it is still John Green. Moving right along, we have 10 Things I Can See From Here. I unhauled this one years ago. It's about a very introverted girl who has anxiety and like strikes up a friendship with a girl who helps her be less anxious, is kind of my memories of the book. I thought that I would really connect with the main character, and I did not as much as I thought I would. For that we have Six of Crows. I love this duology by Leigh Bardugo. So well written. And then finally, Howl's Moving Castle, which again is kind of in a out of the way place. I'm not gonna get it down. I'm gonna burn 10 Things I Can See From Here. As I said, didn't really like it, unhauled it. Howl's belongs to my husband, and I think I would have kept the first book if it were mine and not unhauled it. The second book was just okay. The third book was really terrible. Overall, it's a bit of a weird series, and I'm gonna rewrite it. Which means, of course, I am rereading Six of Crows, which I actually think I will be doing next year. Moving right along, we have City of Saints and Thieves. This one is by Natalie C. Anderson. I kind of just won this one, so went into it not knowing much about it, and it was an interesting mystery thriller kind of a situation. Not my favorite, not bad, like it's on my shelves still, just kind of outside of my wheelhouse. Next, number 2, we have Dear Emma, which I unhauled, but not right away. Like I kept it for a long time on my shelf, and then the shelf started to get overly full, and Dear Emma was just kind of the first on the chopping block. So I don't hate this one, even though I don't own it anymore. And then third, Kids of Appetite. So this is the favorite David Arnold that I was talking about. It's just so good. It's like a contemporary YA, but with mystery thrown in, and all of the characters are just fantastic. So I think I'll rewrite Dear Emma to make it good enough for me to not unhaul it. It was just kind of, there wasn't a ton to the story, so maybe add a little more stakes to it. Although I realize this means I'm gonna be burning the book that I actually still own, which is maybe silly. But I just see more potential in Dear Emma to be better. Whereas this, I feel like it was well written, it was as good as it's gonna be, it's just not necessarily my book, my favorite type of genre. Whereas Dear Emma is a little bit more in my wheelhouse. So yeah, I'm gonna rewrite Dear Emma, burn this one, even though really this is the least burny of them all so far, I think. And then obviously reread Kids of Appetite. Only 3 left to go. We've got Monday's Not Coming. This one is by Tiffany D. Jackson, and this one is just a book that you have no idea what's going on until the big twist ending. Like, you know that something's not quite stacking up, but you don't know until the end. So this is one that really does call for reread. We'll see once the other two are on the board if it remains the one I would want to reread, although I suspect it will be, because it's one where you want to go back and see all the things, all the clues that you missed along the way. But next we have Perks of Being a Wallflower. This one is by Stephen Chbosky, and for this one I enjoy the movie much more than the book. Something about the writing style just didn't work for me on this one very much. And then finally we have The Lovely War, which I unhauled this one. It was a huge disappointment. It was one of my most anticipated reads last year, and it was just boring. It had such potential with the concept. It is a World War II story told from the perspective of Aphrodite, which one of my favorite books of all time is The Book Thief, which is a World War II story told from the perspective of death. So like, very similar concepts. I thought I would love it. It was boring. So between these three, I really want to rewrite Lovely War to make it what I hoped it would be, but I did unhaul it. But yeah, I think I'm definitely rereading this one like I thought I would because of picking up on all the clues, which will be very fun when I do eventually reread it. I am gonna reread it one day. And then, yeah, I think this is another case where I'm gonna rewrite the book that I unhauled because of the potential that it had, and I'm sadly gonna burn Perks of Being a Wallflower, which I know is super controversial because this one is super popular, but again, I like the movie better, so I can just watch the movie whenever. I don't need to reread the book. To here, we have The Poet X, which again is over on the TBR cart on like the bottom shelf where I keep non-TBR books. So I'm just gonna leave it over there. Next we have The Handmaid's Tale, which of course is by Margaret Atwood. And I had watched the TV show and I wasn't sure if I would enjoy the book like I did the TV show, since it is an older book, but I actually did really enjoy it. It's a fairly different vibe from the TV show. The first season and the book do follow each other quite closely, but still the vibe between book and television in this case is just pretty different. But I did still enjoy it at the same time. It's not like an all-time favorite per se. And then finally for this one we have Tiger Lily, and this one is by Jodi Lynn Anderson, and this is probably my favorite Peter Pan retelling. It's so atmospheric, so good. This is a very female category. This is a tough one. Poet X, Handmaid's Tale, Tiger Lily. Oh no, which one am I gonna burn? Certainly not Tiger Lily. Okay, am I burning the Poet X or the Handmaid's Tale? I think I'm gonna burn the Handmaid's Tale. Once again, we have a TV show of this that overall I enjoy more than the book, although I do think they're very separate entities in a different way than some of these other ones. But still, I think I'm gonna go ahead and burn the Handmaid's Tale. That's terrible to say. And then yeah, Tiger Lily is like an all-time favorite, so I think I have to reread this one and then rewrite The Poet X. That one's a very specific book though, because it's a book told in poetry. So maybe, I mean, I really liked it being told in poetry, but I maybe wouldn't mind having some parts not be poetry. That would be interesting to see, I guess. Yeah, I'm gonna rewrite The Poet X, maybe sprinkle in some just regular prose, and I'm gonna reread Tiger Lily. And again, sadly burn the Handmaid's Tale, don't judge me. All right, final face-off here. We have Love Blind, which is right here. I'm not gonna get it out. This one. Next we have A Man Called Uva by Frederick Bachman. Again, it's in the middle of a stack. I'm gonna leave it where it is. And finally, Matched by Ali Condi. I'll get this one out. Okay, I'm obviously rereading A Man Called Uva, one of my favorite books of all time. Matched and Love Blind are both very mediocre. Well, mostly Matched. But because Matched is a series, and I did like the first book better than the second and the third, and it's like a dystopian, which I love, I'm gonna rewrite Matched, the whole series, and just improve it. And also make the series not drop off so much after the first one, which means I am unfortunately burning Love Blind, which was a cute little YA romance about a very shy boy and a girl who is losing her sight. So like, again, I did enjoy that one. It's still on my shelf, but just among these two, it's getting burned. So that was it for my game of rewrite, reread, burn. Let me know down below if you agreed with any of my placements or disagreed. I hope you enjoyed watching. Remember, words matter.